Melodee Andersen, 1724 South, 165 West. I wish to express my disappointment with your votes for government subsidies for the rich. Your vote for a $58 million government subsidy for the Woodburys was a mistake. You gave up tax dollars and handed the wealthiest property owner in the city a 20-year subsidy. That is not just. This is crony capitalism. Do you know what that is? Wikipedia defines it as a term describing an economy in which success in business depends on close relationships between business people and government officials. It is exhibited by favoritism in the distribution of legal permits, government grants, special tax breaks like Woodbury Mall is receiving, or other forms of state intervention. Here is a flyer sent out to Orem residents with 6 members of the Orem City Council pictured promoting crony capitalism in Orem. In the teachings of President Harold B. Lee says, "Now keep in mind with all the crowding in of the socialistic reform programs that are threatening the very foundation of the church, I warn you that government subsidies are not the Lord's way. And if we begin to accept, we are on our way to becoming subsidized politically as well as financially." Let me repeat Harold B. Lee. I warn you that government subsidies are not the Lord's way. President Lee said that these socialistic reform programs, quote, threaten the very foundation of the church. I wish to express my disappointment in another one of your socialist votes. You all favor an 85% government subsidized bus system in spite of 59% of the county residents voting against it. But they are the very people who will have to pay for it. That makes 2 major mistakes on your part. 1, you ignored the people you claim to represent, and 2, you voted for more government welfare, more socialism, and more subsidies. Howard W. Hunter said, "It is superficial to only criticize socialism and the welfare state and the many other evil isms growing up among us unless we work upon the roots." What is the real cause of this trend toward the welfare state, toward more socialism? In the last analysis, in my judgment, it is personal unrighteousness. Note his use of the word evil and also the use of the words personal unrighteousness when he criticizes socialism and government welfare. It is not just to give your friends the Woodburys $58 million in tax breaks. You altered the law. You made what is immoral legal. To make something legal does not make it moral. You used your position in government to confer favors on your friends, which hurts those who are not your friends. Remember what Harold B. Lee said, "I warn you that government subsidies are not the Lord's way." By voting for subsidies, etc., you are violating the Lord's way. Please make these quotes, please take these quotes as a warning. Please don't get angry. All is not well in Zion. Please learn the proper role of government and follow it. I will be happy to give any of you a copy of the official book called The Proper Role of Government if you will read it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from Elaine.
My name's Elaine Andelin. I live at 1763 Glendale Drive in Orem. It was interesting to be here tonight and hear the proposal for $1 million request for the recreation center. I've been thinking a lot about where our taxes go. And when men make laws, they determine which conduct is so evil that it should be punished and which is so good that they should be compelled. They express their most intensely held moral convictions in the laws they favor. Every act which government performs is either morally right or wrong, because government can only act by using force on citizens, and force cannot be used without moral consequences. But the moral problem is most clearly seen when we consider how laws are enforced. It's by depriving the disobedient of either his life, his liberty, or his property. Every law carries one of those penalties. Humanity and justice dictate that we punish only those who do evil. Anyone who would inflict death, imprisonment, or fine for any other reason must regard himself as a murderer, an enslaver, or a thief. You on the City Council have a great deal of power. It is in your power to choose businesses you favor and support them and force all your fellow citizens to support them as well. Not only that, but by choosing to financially support one business, you impact those private businesses who are trying to compete in an unfair playing field. If there is a forcible transfer of A's property to B committed outside the framework of government, this would be regarded as criminal. How does that which was once evil suddenly become good? Is it because its real nature is hidden by being clothed in the robes of legality? Is A any less a victim when done through government? This embarrassing disparity between private and public morality has extremely important consequences to any citizen, to every citizen. And when you make laws, I hope you consider whether your actions will increase or decrease the freedom of your citizens. When you take money out of everyone's pocket to support some particular person's desire for whatever, recreation or a park or whatever, please recognize that you're taking that from those who don't support it as well. And consider that that action has a moral impact on each citizen of Orem. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from Hans Andersen and then Leanne Swanson. Good to see you, Hans.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been in the building a few times. Hans Andersen, 1724 South, 165 West, here in Orem. Tonight you've been taught by Melodee and Elaine that Harold B. Lee said government subsidies are not the Lord's way, but still you believe in subsidies. You've been told they threaten the very foundation of the church, but you don't believe it. You've been taught from Howard W. Hunter that socialism and welfare state practices are evil, and they are the product of personal unrighteousness. These are quotes out of their books. Yet you believe in socialism. Utopia, another Orem socialist program, which you are now reopening, what's there already will cost Orem taxpayers $200 million when it runs its course. Now you voted for a socialist bus system. You will squander another $190 million in taxpayer money. You could have stopped it, but you favor socialism. You have voted for socialism for the super rich, which has been talked about, and socialism for the poor. Just men reject socialism. Another friend of Ezra Taft Benson also warned you, but you have rejected him also. David O. McKay, during the first half of the 20th century, we have traveled far into the soul-destroying land of socialism. A good book. I believe you have violated God's laws with your votes. We told you you have violated God's laws. We cannot convince you you have violated God's laws because you have gotten away with it. You cannot change physical law. You cannot change moral law. You voted against moral law, but that does not change moral law. Our nation violates more and more of God's moral laws. You lead our city to violate God's laws. You have your agency to do that. You, like our nation, have the attitude that because there is material prosperity and carnal security, all is well in Zion. It sounds very noble to assert that everyone should be open-minded and engaged in the search for truth. It sounds very noble to say that we should be tolerant of the views of others as we search for the truth. That is pretending that there is no truth. Tonight we gave you the opinions of 3 reputable men about political truths, but you reject them. We tell you political truths and you talk about our intolerance. You lead this city in the wrong direction, just as our nation is led in the wrong direction by our national political leaders. My warning is that we cannot expect God to treat us, our city, any better than he does the nation when he decides to make us pay for ignoring the truth that he has given us. We have a higher standard in this city. We have more truth. And if we reject it, we'll pay for it. And I hope that you'll change your ways. Thank you.
Thank you.